Chris here with the Armor 7 from Ulefone. So this is one of those chunky phones that are drop resistant, waterproofing, very durable, and that's where it gets the name from, of course, Armor. So this is actually offering quite a lot for this type of phone. When you take a look at the specs, it's got the Helio P90. It's got 8 GB of RAM, 128 GB of storage, expandable with microSD support, dual SIM support. It's got global bands, basically, well, almost all the bands out there, so LTE band 20 is there. NFC and wireless charging that you don't normally see on these phones as well. So this is what you'll find in the box. We do get a tempered screen glass protector, which is really good. Now the phone itself does come with a pre-applied standard plastic screen protector. We get a Type-C to USB adapter. There's also a Type-C to micro USB adapter. Then they've got an adapter there for Type-C to 3.5mm. So there's no 3.5mm headphone jack here. Now our charger is 15 watts. It will charge the phone in close to 3 hours. And if you're using wireless charging, then it's even slower. That's going to be about 3 hours and 40 minutes or so to fully charge the 5,500 mAh battery in here. You get a warranty card and some other leaflets and information. Onto the build of the phone first. So we've got a very chunky build. It's heavy, it's 292 grams. So you can see why they call it the Armor. It's made out of plastic, rubber, and metal. So on the back here, this is plastic for the NFC and the wireless charging, which is 10 watts. It's good to have this. So you've got 5 LED flashes in here, but only one is used for video and the other 4, they're just for photography. So one of these cameras here, I believe it is the 16 megapixel one, is dedicated to low light photography. And then we've got another one, 8 megapixels, just for the portrait shots for your stitching. And it grabs the background. So 48 megapixels is the main one and not particularly good. You'll see some samples later on. It definitely needs some optimization. It's not bad hardware, it's just the software side of things. So on the sides we have metal, side fingerprint reader, which does often trigger missed touches, accidental touches I should say here. And you'll see the unlocking speed right now. Okay, it's telling me too many attempts. That just got the face unlocking. So I'll do this again. You got to tap it on, put my thumb here, unlocks. Okay, we'll do it one more. Not particularly quick as you can see. So face unlocking, we'll do that now. All right, that took about 2 seconds. So that's, again, not quick. Now you can see our side bezels, top bezels, not particularly slim there. They are big. This is a big phone. It's a heavy phone. 6.3 inches the screen. The resolution is 2340 by 1080p, so that's full HD plus. Teardrop notch camera is 16 megapixels. Earpieces just here. There is a status LED in there that does support 3 different colors. It's really just used for when you're charging with this one here. So down the bottom there's a Type-C port. It does not support video out. You wouldn't expect that either for this type of phone. Here's our mic. This is all rubber. And we've got this easy button, they call it, that you can assign to do different things. Like I use it to launch the camera if I just hold it down. Here's our SIM tray that does have a gasket around it. Supports 2 nano-SIMs or micro SD card and nano-SIM. And you can see they've got torque screws screwing this in place just to make it look very solid. And up the top, it states IP68. That's its water rating, resistance rating it's got there. IR transmitter, and I believe an ambient light sensors also in there. Now these buttons on the side here, so volume up and down and power, they are made out of metal. This one has a little bit of a rattle to it. Probably hear that. It's a little loose there, which is not great. So the display is 6.3 inches, full HD plus, IPS, and it's got a bit of a bluish tint to it that you will see when you're looking at, say, something that's white. It's not a neutral white, it's not a warm white, definitely cool white, but you cannot tweak it. There's no actual settings that we can change for white balance, which is annoying. But when you take a look at real-world images that I'm showing you right now, that it's actually not a bad IPS panel. The maximum brightness is 550 nits, which is good. And I'll just show you, having a look now at, for example, in the settings, that you can see we do have a little bit of shadowing around the notch and the corners here. So that's that black that's leaking in a little bit, as you can see. All in all, an okay panel. I just wish we had an adjustment there for the white balance. So on to now our benchmarks for the ROM and its performance. So this ROM does perform pretty good. I'm not seeing any stutter lags, animation lags, multitasking, so you can go back into apps and it's still there without reloading, even after like 30 minutes or so. So that's good for people out there who like to swap back and forth. Its task manager is not killing off apps too early, unlike other manufacturers like, for example, Xiaomi with MIUI or Realme. They kill things off a little bit faster. But not these guys here. So you can swap through this and you expect pretty good performance from the Helio P90. And we've got really no bloatware with this particular phone too when you get it. So I find the ROM performance is decent, it's good, but there's not a huge amount of customization. They've got like a full screen gestures on there, but it's very strange because when you swipe from the sides, it doesn't go back. It's not your typical setup there. No global dark mode setting here as well with this. It's running Android 9. And you get probably just Google bloat really is what you get when you first get the phone. Now free storage on first boot, you're looking at approximately around 119 gigabytes or so, which is good, but you've got microSD card support as well. And here's the Antutu score, so just over 200,000 seems right for the Helio P90. This is Antutu version 8, by the way, so the scores have changed. And here's the internal storage. So it's not super quick. This is eMMC 5 spec. Overall, not too bad. The random reads is quite good there. So really, it's not going to be bottlenecking this particular phone. So we don't have Widevine level 1 support. Now, I expected this. A lot of Chinese manufacturers just don't bother at all getting a level 1 cert, which means this jargon, you're not going to get Netflix or Amazon Prime Video in full HD. It's just all going to be standard definition. Camera 2 API support is full. Level 3 would be ideal, but with full, that's still quite good. We should be able to get some working, hopefully, Gcam ports to improve our camera performance, because the software optimization, as you see later on in my camera review, isn't brilliant. So this is one thing that really shines here. Surprised me. GPS performance, you get an accuracy of 1 meter or 2 meters. This is amazing, really, because flagship phones only get 3 to 4 meters. So they've done some definite tweaks there. This is just one of my tests here with the 4G speeds, as expected. Range reception is good. So with the battery life, I've been testing it now over about 3 to 4 days, and it's actually very good. This was more of normal kind of use here from me. And I got, you can see at 64%, 7 hours, and I ended up with close to 17 hours. But I was using YouTube a lot, and this is mostly on wireless, so I wouldn't call this real kind of normal use. This is just continual use, testing how long the battery will go for, but it's an excellent result. This is more realistic use. It's one of my standard days, but I didn't actually make any phone calls with it that day. I did the other day. So 10 hours, and it still had 25% left. You're looking, I would say, an estimated 12 hours continual standard kind of use, so that's 2 days for most people. Medium use. Heavy users would make a definite day. Even if you're gaming a lot, it will just go and go. Very good battery life. So the wireless speeds, it's going to top out about 300 megabits per second, which seems right for this particular type of phone. And over the other side of the studio, another speed test, exact same server. It does drop down the speed, but very good signal strength, and the speeds, if they get over 100, I'm happy, and this is close to 200 megabits per second. So that's an excellent result. Better than even some flagship phones that I've tested. This is a 4G speed test again, and really good there. So overall, I'm happy with the ROM. It doesn't really have much bloat. It's quite a stock Android 9 experience. Don't ever expect it to get Android 10, however. Normally these manufacturers will not push out a major Android version. No, they'll just push out bug fixes if they have to. There is an update system on here. So that brings me on to audio. So this being really marketed as an outdoor phone for tradesmen. Are the ringtones coming through really loud and clear, and your messages? Yes, definitely. That is really quite loud. You can still hear it when it's in your pocket, but of course, if you're using a chainsaw, you've got earmuffs on, you're not going to hear it then, no. But 3.5mm headphone quality when you use the adapter is okay. Type-C headphones, fine. Bluetooth audio as well, no disconnects or any weird issues using Bluetooth. The range seems pretty good to me. I can walk right over to the other side of the studio here. I'm still connected up to any of my Bluetooth tech that I've been using and testing. So let's give you just a sample so you can get an idea of what this loudspeaker sounds like. So you can hear from that, it's not amazing, it's not the best loudspeaker I've heard, but I think the loudness is adequate. And onto our gaming performance. So this is no Snapdragon 855 Plus. I mean, you'd expect the performance to be, well, not really that good. It's actually okay. Just use medium settings for most games, unless it's a game that's quite old, then it's going to run it fine. But every game that's on the Android store and market will run perfectly fine. But you will see the occasional little stutter and dips, as you can see even just scrolling around here. So I'll show you a little bit more gameplay before we move on to our cameras. So even though this is just medium settings, it still looks very good, and you're able to move around, get kills, look down the sights without any noticeable huge stutters or lags. Now occasionally, if there's a lot going on, you will see a little bit of a frame dip. Now you can continually game for about 7 hours because of this phone's huge 5,500 milliamp hour battery. So that's one positive. The weaker chip does actually help out here in aiding in battery life for gameplay. So the cameras here are the definite weakness, as you'll see from my sample shortly, but I just wanted to quickly show you what we've got. So you've got the portrait modes here, AI, which I wouldn't use, video, it's all very straightforward. Here's to swap over the front-facing camera, beauty mode if you want that. The Pro mode does give you just the white balance, ISO, and exposure settings. Not really a lot here from this. This is a sample of video in 4K, and you can see that does not have any electronic image stabilization, so not really usable footage here, which is a shame. The focus tends to work okay, audio quality is not great either, and the 4K, when you look at the bit rate and just the quality you're getting here, isn't exactly the best. And this is our front-facing camera, so we've only got 1080p here, and again there is no electronic image stabilization. So this phone is really not great when it comes to cameras. You wouldn't buy it for the camera performance. So most people will be buying this because it is a chunky phone that's going to handle drops. It is waterproof as long as you've got the SIM card pushed in properly and not loose. You're not going to have any issues there with it. So those are the things it's got going for it. That's probably why you'd be buying a phone like this. You have to remember that because of the extra really housing that this has got around it and the large battery and just how solid and chunky this really is, it's a very solid, well-made phone, that it is heavy, as you saw. And it's a bit thicker than most. It takes up a bit of room there in your pocket. Now, there's a few areas as well that aren't that great that can be improved upon, hopefully with software updates from Ulefone. The fingerprint reader, I find, is quite hit and miss. Now, you have to tap the phone to wake it, then press it, and a lot of times it will say too many attempts that it's being blocked, and that's because you're accidentally touching it. And even I've added the same thumb twice there, and it's just not amazing. I really wish they had an in-screen one if they could have done that, or on the rear. I think a rear fingerprint reader probably would have been a bit better, but maybe they didn't include it so it doesn't get damaged. So battery life is very good on this. A 5,500 milliamp hour, you kind of expect that. So we're getting somewhere around at least 2 days use for most people, maybe even 3. Now, if you're very demanding and you're gaming the whole time, it will still go for a really long time. Now, I just did straight YouTube video streaming, and I managed to get 15 or so hours out of this, which is really, really good continual on-screen time. Most phones will top out about 10 hours, maybe 11 with a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. So it's got the wireless charging on here as well, NFC. It's got all your global bands, which is really good. It's missing a 3.5mm headphone jack, sadly, but it does still retain FM radio. Most manufacturers will drop that, and then you can play all your latest games out there. So really, it boils down to what you want in a phone. You want a durable phone. I think this one offers, it does when you look at the spec sheet, it really does offer a lot. It's just the cameras is the big area of letdown there for me. And the fingerprint reader is not wonderful. Face unlocking does, however, work, but it's still not the fastest. So thank you so much for watching the review here of the Armor 7. I hope to catch you back in the channel. I'll see you in my next video.